Hi, Miss Denise. Denise from
Hello.
Law.com.
Hello.
How's
How
my
are
boy
you?
doing?
He's good. He's got a paper and pencil. He's sitting down. So I don't know. I don't even know what we're channeling. So
Oh, okay. Well, we could do different things, but for some reason, a lot of people want to know about the three members of the cast of Glee having
okay.
tragically died. I know nothing about this. Cory Monteith, Salling, and Naya Rivera.
Okay. So yeah, Eric's saying they all had tragic deaths. So yeah, but Erik is saying he said so that's why he has his pen and paper here. Just I guess he's jotting this stuff down for me to see.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
let me give you the backstory, I guess, first, because it precedes the questions. In the span of 7 years, that's just crazy. 3 members of the main Glee cast have tragically died. Cory Monteith, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, who played footballer Finn Hudson, died in 2013. His body was found in a hotel room in Canada. His death was ruled as a heroin overdose with traces of alcohol, codeine, and morphine also were found in his bloodstream. Now, Mark Salling, Salling, or Salling, who played Noah Puckerman, died in 2018 by suicide after pleading guilty to possession of child pornography. Naya Rivera, who played the role of Santana Lopez, died in 2020 by drowning, and the death was ruled accidental. Oh,
I remember that one. I do. I remember that one. And her little boy was on the boat.
I don't remember any of that. Anyway, Cory, if we could, Erik, can you bring those 3 in?
He said yes. And Cory's here. He said he's been channeled before. I don't know by other people, but he's been channeled before.
Okay.
He's here. And the other one is named who? Michael?
Naya, Cory, Mark.
Naya, Cory, and Mark. Okay, Mark, because I felt the M here. Mark is here. Naya is here. I feel like she's a little like shy, I guess would be a good word.
Okay.
And I'm like, is it because it's so new? Maybe. Erik, Erik's just saying she's quiet, but she's here.
Okay.
They're all 3 here.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Erik, for bringing them, and thank you, Cory, Naya, and Mark, for having the courage to come and share your story with the masses. Well, I don't know about the masses, I don't have that big of a YouTube channel, but we can hope.
They said it's big. They have a lot of. You may not have as many subscribers as some, but you have a lot of viewers who aren't subscribing.
Oh, okay. Oh, something's caught my eye. Anyway, Cory, your passing and Finn's death, Finn Hudson, the character you played, had a huge impact on Glee. Did you have other exit points, or was your passing from an overdose part of your soul contract?
Well, he says, yes, you could say it's part of a soul contract, but it's not like that was the only route he could go. But because of his choices, that was like, he's like, that was an option for him to take at that time. Because he tells me everything was just so murky. There was no clarity for him at all. So, go ahead.
So why did you become an addict? What is something awful about your life, or why?
He says that he was introduced to drugs of sorts when he was young. And he says that it's very accessible when you have cash, when you make money. And it's very accessible in Hollywood type atmospheres. And he says there's always somebody who's willing to give you what you think you want, because he says because of the exchange, the money and that. They see it as it's money, but they also see that they're helping in a sense because they're getting you what you want.
Ugh.
And so, and not helping like I'm helping you go down the stairs. It's like, and then some of these people feel important because they're able to supply people who are well known and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that.
I can imagine.
And I also feel like he had some kind of injury of some sort when he was younger.
Mm.
And he found relief from some type of medication.
Like from opioids, Oxycontin or something similar.
He said he didn't get put on that, but those were introduced to him.
Oh, okay.
And then, the addiction kicks in, but he also says there was he had some form of depression.
Yeah. Why?
And
Situational, or was it just biochemical?
well, he said he never really felt good enough, even though he acted and he had a really good show and everybody loved the show. And I remember Glee. I thought it was a fun show. It was hilarious.
Yeah, me too.
And he said, but that's acting.
Yeah.
And then when you're not acting, then you go back into being just you. And he says it's like you're on this high doing this, but then you go back into being you. And he says if you don't have a good foundation for yourself, a stable environment, it's in someone to guide you and show you what to do next. He goes, because I don't feel like he had much guidance, is what he's showing me. And he goes, you go from a real high and then to a down low, because this is your life. Your life isn't like what your character is.
Yeah. It's like serotonin and dopamine, and then all of a sudden you're home alone in a hotel room.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
whatever. You're home.
He said, yes.
That's too bad. What was the first drug you were introduced to, or you took? Pot, alcohol? I mean,
he shows me a white pill.
what was it?
Shows me-
Opioid or meth, or I don't know what they look like.
I don't either. Well, I saw on TV they had busted, not on TV, but on something where they busted somebody with a bunch of colorful fentanyls.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it was like a downer or something, is what because it kind of calms you down, something of that sort.
Like a barbiturate, or it could be an opioid or other things.
It wasn't an opioid at first. He said it wasn't that. It wasn't that at first. But he says, it's like you can't get that first or second high that you got from something. So then you want more. And then people introduce you and say, well, I know something that can really take the edge off things. And, you can still function and stuff. He tells me he did drugs even when he was on the set of Glee.
So what was your childhood like? Did you have an abusive childhood? Is that one of the reasons, or anything?
He said, no, it wasn't abusive. It just, he says it's like a regular, he's saying like a regular growing up, you have problems in that, but he says he was really a shy person.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you intentionally take your own life, or was it totally accidental? Accidental overdose.
He didn't take his life intentional, where like I'm out to kill myself. This is it.
Okay.
I think he just he says I mismeasured.
Oh.
But he says, but when you're on that, you don't realize how high you are. So you think because you can never get enough. There's always this hunger for more.
All right. Would your outcome have been the same had you not joined the cast of Glee and just stayed working as an actor in Vancouver?
Well, he says that's, you really can't, my road would have been different, but he says you can't really say, well, had I not done Glee, then everything would have been better. You can't say that because that didn't happen.
Yeah, but what would have happened then? If you had not joined the cast of Glee and just remained an actor in Vancouver, what would your life have become?
He's telling me it probably would have ended up the same way because of the road he was on, because he says he never felt like handsome enough or cute enough. Of course, he, on camera and that, he's acting Mr. Handsome and he's showing me his face, but that's just because of all the cameras on you and people are saying stuff, and then you have fans and all that. But when you get by yourself, you just don't feel good enough. And
why did you not feel? Was it some sort of something from another life, or was it something in your upbringing? Why did you not feel good enough?
Erik is saying part of it is a previous life. Part of it is Erik is saying that. But he says, when you get into this type of business, good is never good enough.
Yeah.
You have to, it's just never good enough, he says. They're always looking for ways to improve you. Yeah.
Handsome guy. I mean,
he was. He's super. That's the picture. He wasn't that exact, but he's showing me his picture. But he says, they're always putting the spotlight on someone else, and then you see how this one is getting more good looking than the other, and so you start thinking something, because you have to be real solid, he says, knowing who you are, because they're always trying to look for the best version of, like, the best of the best, and no one ever is enough, he says. You're high for a while and then it drops. You're high for a while, then you drop on your status, is what he's saying.
Are you talking about life, or are you talking about Hollywood and
Hollywood, he says. It's like people run a marathon and then you don't hear about them anymore. Then they run another marathon and you don't hear about them. And he said, so you're constantly trying to stay in the marathon and you can't. But then that you start thinking something isn't okay with you. And he says, would he have chosen a different path? He said, he says he's telling me he still would have found his way to that path. And so he said no. The answer is no.
All right. What past life or future life could be was it that made you feel like you were not good enough? Were you like a leper, or I don't know what's going on?
Erik is telling me that he had some form of disability with a leg.
Okay.
He's showing me, and he wasn't able to keep up, I guess go running and doing things as a kid, and he just wasn't ever like the popular kid, and always felt he felt inadequate in that previous life. And I feel like it was a life back maybe in the 30s or something of that, because of the way that Erik has shown me the clothes. So he always felt inadequate, like not good enough. If only I had something with his leg. There was some deformity with his leg.
Polio or a club foot, or
it could be polio, because the way I'm seeing like a brace or something around the knee.
Because that was not uncommon then. So
maybe that's it. Maybe because the way the brace is, and because his leg is shorter, is what I'm saying. Right. But Erik says not feeling good enough, and Erik says you would think that somebody in Hollywood feels spectacular because they made it big and all of this, but they're still dealing with all of the feeling of not, being shy, not good enough, the lack of confidence. And
they're humans.
Yeah.
you know, made to look superhuman. So, all right, here's another one for Cory. I'm trying to pick out the Cory ones first, so we can sort of amalgamate things under one discussion topic. You had, I guess, been struggling with drug addiction from when you were a teenager. Can you elaborate on that? That's number one. Number two, well, let's go with that. What's number two?
So his struggles, he said, his struggles were, he got introduced to drugs, and it made him feel important. It made him feel good. He said it erased all those feelings he had, and he liked that a lot. And he liked the way he felt. And he said he was funny and people liked him, and stuff. And he just didn't know how to be that, not under the influence.
I get it. Yeah. All right. A few months before your death, you voluntarily went back to rehab after an intervention was held on the Glee set. What made you go back to take drugs on that day when you died? And that's probably why you died, because you're not taking the same dose, but your receptors are sort of reset, and then you should have taken much lower than the last dose you took. That's very common. Anyway, so you went to rehab. Why didn't that work? And why did you go back to drugs, the next day?
Well, he says he went to rehab because he didn't want to disappoint people. He said he knew that those people were genuine and really caring about him. But he said and he just did that to kind of
please them.
Yeah, and it's almost like he was like, let me try again, let me see, because he knew that there was truth in what they were saying. Because he says in the intervention, they were really pointing out his positive characteristics in that.
Yeah.
But also calling him, he said, on his stuff, and he could feel the love coming from them, because he says there were tears as that as well.
Yeah.
And he knew that they were scared for him. So he wanted to give it a try, but he tells me he went in knowing that it wasn't going to work.
Oh. Okay.
And he's telling me that when you go in with that attitude, then most times it's not going to work. And he's telling me though that he couldn't let go of liking the feeling that the drug gave him. Mm-hmm. And even though it was for a short period, and when he says short period, I don't even think he felt that good for the entire time he was high for those periods. But it's that initial, he says, rush is what he's saying. Oh. And so that's what he didn't know how to break that.
What was your drug of choice then?
He said opiates.
Okay. I will go on to Naya Rivera. Just such a beautiful woman.
I remember her on there. She was like the person of one of the few women on there, females on there of color.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And it was really, and she just played such a really, I don't know, her role. It had such strength to it. I felt like her character. I liked her.
I just waved off my husband because he's trying to get the dogs out of here, and look at that. Look at that. This is not good, man. Oh,
stop.
I don't care.
Yeah, she was a cheerleader, she tells me. She was a cheerleader on there.
Naya, what caused you to drown? Was it homicide, suicide, accident?
I know. I wondered, because I just like, it's a little bit. She says it wasn't suicide. It wasn't suicide. Because I would have never, because she had her son with her.
Yeah.
And it was almost like it was she said it was like she was going out just celebrating just her and her son being together.
So it's only the two of you.
Yes, that's what she's saying.
What kind of boat was it?
Just a regular, I guess the way it looks is like a ski boat maybe,
Okay.
or a fishing boat or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that.
Mm.
She said there were other people around though, you know, there, I don't know if like other boats were around or whatever, but she just
Okay.
was like going away to kind of, she says, zen out, just relax with her son and just
Yeah.
be at peace. And I don't know if she had just went through a breakup or something, but she just wanted to just be at peace. And she always felt her calmness on the water. She loved being around the water, she said. So that's why, and it was normal for her to go out by herself.
Okay.
That wasn't an uncommon thing. And so I'm asking her, so was it a homicide or accidental?
What happened?
Yeah. She's showing me that it wasn't, it was accidental. She's showing me that. She's shown me something when she jumped off the boat to go swim, something. I'm asking, like, did you choke on water? Did when you went down or something, you know? She's just showing me something happened when she jumped off the boat. And I feel like maybe she got water in her lungs and she jumped down too far and couldn't get up fast enough or something.
Oh.
But she's showing it's something in her lungs she got, so I'm
Oh.
assuming it's water. She did say there was a lot of fear when she knew she wasn't going to make it, because her main concern was her son. She's saying her son.
Oh my God.
But she made sure that her son was well taken care of. So I'm assuming the way she's shown me that they found him right away.
Okay.